Just this year alone, Governor J.B. Pritzker's given himself $125 million in political funds. Those dollars going to help, pay for TV ads, but he's also, as Illinois politics allows, transferring money from one pool to another to the Democratic Party, and then that money gets filtered out to all kinds of other individual campaigns. But when you take a step even further back and look at how much money Governor J.B. Pritzker has put into his own campaign since he started running for governor back in 2018, it's been $303 million. It's a lot of money, and it's in Illinois politics. But again, since the beginning of this year, $125 million. Now, all of that dwarfs what his Republican competitor has cash on hand. Before earlier this week, Darren Bailey had about $500,000 cash on hand compared to Pritzker's $61 million. So, a graph like that would be like, a skyscraper right next to a little barn. So you've got quite a big disparity there in the financing of Illinois politicians. But Darren Bailey did get a $1 million donation this week from somebody who's given him $3 million in the past. Richard Uihlein, the founder, along with his wife of Uihlein Corporation, they donated to the Bailey campaign with a $1 million check this week. But a lot of dollars going around. Now, Illinois State Fair was where there were a lot of politicians and, of course, people talking about a variety of things from issues that each individual party is going to be focusing on heading into the election. But one question I had for Don Tracy, who's the Illinois Republican Party chairman, was about the political funds and exactly how the Republican Party is going to go up against the Democratic Party of Illinois that has Governor J.B. Pritzker's tens of millions of dollars seemingly at their disposal. Whenever we had, for instance, Ken Griffin leave the state of Illinois. That's an interesting storyline altogether as well, because Ken Griffin, the billionaire owner of Citadel, before the June primary, he announced he was moving to Florida. That's after he gave failed GOP gubernatorial candidate Richard Irvin $50 million. And as the poll numbers suggested, Irvin was not going to take it on primary day. Before primary day even happened, Griffin announced he was moving, and you can imagine that means he's taking with him his political funds. So I asked Don Tracy, the chairman of the Illinois Republican Party, with the loss of Ken Griffin, what's the party going to do? Here's his response at the Illinois State Fair.
Well, it's a real loss for Illinois and for the Republican Party for Ken Griffin to move to Illinois, to move from Illinois to Florida. Certainly, he has been a big charitable donor, and he helped us defeat the progressive tax. So we're all going to miss him. But we're not a one-person party. We have lots of different donors. It's going to be hard to replace his donations. But if you rely too much on one donor, then when that donor leaves, for whatever reason, whether it's Governor Rauner or Ken Griffin, your donations atrophy. So you have to rebuild that. And I've been rebuilding that, and we have become the party of the people, and so we're relying on the people to replace mega donors.
But again, they do have at least one mega donor, that being Richard Uihlein, giving Darren Bailey $1 million this week. Now, he had previously given Bailey $3 million before the June primary. And that was, of course, a last-minute ad blitz for Bailey. But ultimately, that could be where Bailey might get various cash infusions throughout the next few weeks here, heading into early voting and then the November 8th election. Now, Uihlein has primarily been giving people who play by the rules pack. And you're seeing a lot of advertisements from people who play by the rules pack on TV and also on streaming services. So those ads going out already. But $20 million is how much Uihlein has given people who play by the rules pack. Now, if you're not familiar with how PACs operate, PACs can't coordinate directly with a campaign, but they can create ads and messaging to oppose candidates. So ultimately, people who play by the rules pack, they're likely promoting ads that are critical of Pritzker, which de facto would be to prop up another candidate. So just some of kind of the minutia there of how these dollars can and can't be used. So we'll be watching all of that closely. But it's not just, again, Pritzker with his tens of millions of dollars that he's given his own campaign, $125 million to be specific, just this year alone. It's not just Richard Uihlein with tens of millions of dollars that he's given to Illinois Republican politics, but you also have unions who are very much big money players in this whole situation. So far in August, there have been $3.2 million of donations from various labor unions to a group called Vote Yes for Workers' Rights. And this is an organization that's supporting the labor amendment that's on the November ballot. Now, this is also something else that you're going to see a lot of money poured into, because the amendment, it would essentially codify individual workers' ability to collectively bargain for a whole host of different issues, from healthcare, work conditions, and so on. But it would codify it by putting it into the Illinois Constitution. Now, to get this on the ballot, of course, last year, Illinois lawmakers, they passed the joint resolution constitutional amendment, and that got the support of Republicans and Democrats, actually. Democrats pushing for it and advocating for the ultimate passage by voters. But Republicans, there were some who supported, I think I remember in the Senate, several said that they may not support the amendment, but they support the idea of voters being allowed to sound off on these types of things. So the question was ultimately approved by the General Assembly. It doesn't go to the governor. It then goes to the process of getting it on the November ballot. So you get the November ballot. It's being queued up. You've got all the candidates that are lining up and whatnot, but there was actual litigation that parents and from Chicago Public Schools and also Illinois Policy Institute with the Liberty Justice Center, they tried to block the amendment from getting on the ballot, but after a circuit court blocked their petition to keep the measure off the ballot, it went to the appellate court, and the appellate court affirmed the lower court's decision out of Sangamon County that ultimately would keep the amendment on the ballot. Now, Attorney General Kwame Raoul this week, he said that he was happy the amendment is on the ballot and believes the decision to amend the Constitution should be up to the people and not the courts. Now, the opposition to this ranges. You've got not just Illinois Policy Institute that has substantial questions about this. You also have others who have raised questions about taking power away from the politicians and taking power away from citizens, and possibly even leading to tax increases, because if you have more issues being collectively bargained, then that's obviously something that is going to increase the cost of employees for public and private, which is going to lead to an increase in the cost of getting those services. And on the taxing side, it could lead to tax increases. At least that's the argument some have. So you'll hear a lot more about this, especially with the $3+ million this month alone that labor unions put into the proponents of the amendment, and I imagine you'll see some messaging in opposition to it. So, it's not just the gubernatorial race. It's not just the other executive offices that you have a choice of in November. It's also the constitutional amendment that is going to be proposed. And after surviving some legal challenges, that apparently is going to be on the ballot with sufficient political funding behind it. 217-629-7970. Let's take a quick call. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Bishop, how old are you?
I am 39, sir.
39. I'm 46 years old.
Okay.
I have never in my life voted for someone because they had more money than the other person. What in the hell is the point of spending this? I mean, people already know who they're voting for, I would hope. Spending millions and millions of dollars on a campaign just seems the most idiocracy thing you could possibly do.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because media messaging, it has a place. It's something that, for instance, if one candidate says something and it gets some news coverage, naturally getting some news coverage, the opposing candidates can put money behind political messaging to drown out what that other message may have been, that may have even just been naturally generated through news publications.
They're all liars, so everything they say is a lie.
Well,
it doesn't matter if it's what it is.
I tell you, I don't know if you're going to find too many people who disagree with the statement you just made about politicians and whether or not they're being honest. Appreciate the call. I think a lot of people know that politicians lack candor or the ability to actually just be straightforward and tell the truth. But speaking of politicians, believe it or not, your Supreme Court justices are politicians. They've got political money behind them as well. And in the state of Illinois, across the state, you've got a different Supreme Court vacancies that are open on the November ballot. Voters are going to have the first Supreme Court district to vote on whether to retain Supreme Court Justice Mary Jane Teese. Also in the second court district and the third court district, there's a choice between a Republican and a Democrat. I talked with the newest Illinois Supreme Court Justice Lisa Holder White, and she's a Republican, and I asked her the importance of justices remaining neutral whenever they get on the bench, and here's a bit about what she had to say. Also kind of an overview of where she's at right now after having been in the office for a little over a month and a half.
Well, things have been going really well. Of course, I was just sworn in on July 7th, so I've been at it a little over a month, and I'm looking forward to September. And that will be my first time where I'll be able to join the court in term, as we call it. So that'll start the second Monday in September. And for anyone who's interested in what we'll be doing, the Supreme Court has a website. On the website, you can see what cases are coming up. You can actually attend virtually oral argument and hear the cases argued before they come down. And then all of the court's decisions are also posted on the website for everyone to read and to, at their leisure, understand and get a sense of what the cases are about and how they've been resolved. So I was appointed to fill the vacancy created when Justice Rita B. Garman retired. And so I will be on the ballot for 2024. So I will be running in 2024. Absolutely. When you're sworn in as a judge, you take an oath. That oath involves upholding the Constitution of the United States as well as the Constitution of the state of Illinois. As judges, we have a code of conduct, ethical rules that we have to follow. And so, quite frankly, we don't necessarily view ourselves as politicians. We are neutral arbiters of the law. We interpret the law. We're not legislators. We don't make laws. And so we have to have that be top of mind at all times and realize that we have a specific role to play. And I'm honored to be able to play that role and to be able to be the person on the Supreme Court for the 4th District who decides these matters for the citizens of the state of Illinois. And that's my concern, and I'm not trying to be a politician.
Again, that's Justice Lisa Holder White, who is going to be on a ballot in 2024. But you do have across the state other individuals who are up for either retention or looking to fill a vacant Supreme Court seat. And I guess, there's room to have a debate on whether we should have Supreme Court seats decided by voters, or should they be appointed, or how should Illinois do that when determining who is on their 7-person Illinois Supreme Court. All right, so that's a little bit of an overview of the money and all the other issues that are going to be on the ballot for voters across the state of